Ways to discover the long ago past. How do we know about people who lived long ago? To study the past, you need the stuff of the past. Historians study newspapers, diaries, buildings, and other things from the past. These documents and artifacts help us learn what really happened long ago. But there's a problem. People who lived thousands of years ago did not leave us documents. How can we learn about them? One way is known as oral tradition. Tribal stories like the Menominee legend you just read were passed down from one person to another without ever being written. They connect people to this land. Archaeology is another way to learn about the long ago past. Almost none of those objects and buildings from long ago past still exist as they did when they were made. So, how do archaeologists find evidence of the way people lived? Archaeologists learn about the past people by studying artifacts and features, like house foundations found at a particular site. Archaeologists learn about the way people lived at a site at a particular time in the past. Sometimes the site is named for its location or for the landowner. If a site was found in the Dells, for example, it might be called Dell Site or maybe the Waterslide Site. Let's take a look at this text feature here. The caption says, "The digger you deep, the older the artifacts and features you find." Can you identify any of the oldest objects in this garbage dump exhibit found at the Wisconsin Historical Museum? So at the top, in the most recent, I see things like sporks, paper plates, a license plate. And as I go lower, things seem to get older. This glass bottle right here seems very, very foggy. I can tell it's been there for a while. So, how do archaeologists study a site? Once archaeologists discover a site, they may decide to excavate portions of it to see how people lived once at the site. To excavate means to dig carefully. Archaeologists have to carefully keep track of exactly where they find all artifacts and features as they dig. The work you see on this page took place at the Apple Branch site in Lafayette County in the Western Uplands. Take a look at that map here to show you where that is located. The artifacts and features archaeologists found led them to believe that Indians lived at the Apple Branch between 400 AD and 600 AD. Archaeologists carefully map and take notes about all the evidence they find. Many objects rot away before any archaeologist finds them. So an archaeologist's work is like trying to solve a giant jigsaw puzzle. But the archaeologist has to work without having most of the pieces and without knowing what the final picture is supposed to look like. You'll notice we have some text features at the top of this page, an image. We also have some examples of artifacts that were found that we might not otherwise see. When they study this evidence later, they'll understand more about the people who lived at the site, like Apple Branch. We have the compass indicating an exact location. And we have an example of a tool that is used to scrape dirt called a trowel. Archaeologists also found these two spear points at Apple Branch, and they are both the actual sizes. So, one thing that can be found at some of these sites are things like what we see on this page here: mammoths, mastodons, and earliest people. What is the Boaz mastodon? A bit more than 100 years ago, two boys from the Dash family found a couple of bones belonging this mastodon. A mastodon is a mammal that is a relative to the mammoth and today's elephants. By studying their skeleton, scientists can tell us that the adults were from 8 to 10 feet tall at the shoulder, and they were close to 16 feet long, weighing about 9 tons, and were covered with long fur. So we have on the Dash farm, they found a couple of bones belonging to this mastodon you see on the page. They found the bones on their family's farm near Boaz in Richland County in the Western Uplands region. Soon after, the boys and their families excavated the rest of the bones. They also found two spear points. Through their hard work, The Dosh family preserved one of Wisconsin's most important historical discoveries. You can visit the preserved skeleton of the Boaz mastodon in the Geology Museum on the University of Wisconsin-Madison campus.